Am I the asshole for kicking out my partner's dad and family from my daughter's birthday party? I kicked them out because they refused to take off their shoes as it's a celebration at our house. For backstory, it was my daughter's first birthday. My partner is white and I am Asian. It has been the norm in our household to keep shoes off when we're at home, and we also wear indoor footwear, slippers. I have always kept spa slippers for guests in variety of sizes in case some are not comfortable in going barefoot. I have always kept my house clean and have always maintained outdoor shoes, footwear off when inside our house. Not only does it makes cleaning floors easy, the thought of carrying germs inside is gross and scary to me. It's also a cultural norm for us as well to keep shoes off as a sign of respect to the owners of the house. Now my daughter's birthday has come. The first few guests have arrived and has taken cue that shoes should be off, and I've offered spa slippers and some were happy to wear them and some just went barefoot inside. Now my partner's dad and his fiancée arrived along with their children. His parents are divorced. And they went straight in with their filthy shoes on. Like really gross looking shoes, that were not clean looking, and you can see the dirt sticking to my tiles. I told my partner to tell them to take off shoes please, because the other guests were happy to comply and thought they would do the same. Well, they didn't do that and just kept walking around inside with the shoes on and stepping on the rugs and mats with it. I politely asked again, but his dad grunted and said, "Our shoes are clean, we always wash them weekly." I pointed out the dirt on the floor and he said it's the dirt from when they walk on our front yard, so it's mainly part of our house. I explained again that kids and most especially his grandchild crawls around our floor, and since it's her birthday to just take their shoes off the mat where she crawls. This time he seems offended and started with why I am making such a big deal out of wearing shoes inside when it's a party anyway, and I'm ruining such an important day because I could not bend a little rule for one day. And it's white people culture to not take their shoes off anyway. That's when I lost it and said they can get out of my house if they can't do a simple request. And they left, and my partner said I should have just let it go since they traveled quite far to come for our daughter's birthday, and I'm an asshole for not being considerate for only one day. So am I the asshole? Wow, this got so much attention and I'm showing this to my partner. Posted this on comments. Before having our baby, when they used to visit, they know we have a shoes off rule at our old apartment. My partner has always pointed this out to them, but I would not make a fuss because they only see us on occasion, like maybe once, twice a year. This time though, we moved to a bigger house and I have a 1-year-old that crawls around, and it's mainly because there are other babies and kids too, especially in the play area. I was adjusting to the thought that they can wear shoes then on other areas of the house except on her playmat. It's a very large foamy, soft playmat that covers most of the room, but they didn't want to follow on that either. Even their children hasn't taken off their shoes when they started to hang out with the other kids to play, and that's where the blow up happened. He wanted to hand my daughter their gift in the playroom when we also have a designated area to put the gifts. And people commenting about the slippers. They are those disposable spa slippers, bought off at Amazon like $10 for 20 pieces. That I threw out once used except for my usual guests, which are my close friends who now has their own slippers marked in my house. Not the asshole. As a Canadian, I'm baffled how some countries don't take their shoes off when you go into a home. Not the asshole. They can get out of my house if they can't do a simple request. You are exactly right. Not the asshole. It is not white people culture to not take off your shoes indoors. Canada's white people culture is shoes off in private residences, for example. Though this can vary a bit, general culture, practice though. And you only wear your shoes inside someone else's house if expressly invited by the owner. Like there's the whole concept of indoor shoes, schools, sports, gym facilities. It's common for entrants to also have a mudroom because that's where the shoes are left. The basic reason? Dirty outside, clean inside. The dirt stays out. It makes more work to keep clean if the dirt is brought in. And carpets. My senses are tingling on some American nonsense. White people culture, the heck it is. Not the asshole at all. When you pointed out the dirt that they trailed into your home, the response was idiotic. Not the asshole. It is not white culture to walk inside with shoes. It is common in the US. Here in Norway, where there is a lot of white people, we do not wear shoes inside. It is dirty and disrespectful. Same in Iceland, where my partner is from and we lived as well. So fuck him, your house, your rules. Your husband suck for not standing up towards his father. Make your husband clean the floors and carpets. I am as white as they come and I have the same rule. Outdoor shoes are disgusting AF. On my clean floors? No thank you. And rude guests are not allowed in my home. Am I the asshole for letting my twins call my boyfriend dad? I, 25 female, and my boyfriend, 28 male, have been together for 3 years and have been living together with my twins, 3 male, for 2 years. Me and their father, 26 male, have never been together, and he hadn't wanted to be a part of their life until they were a year old. We have a custody agreement that they go every other weekend with him on Saturday with me dropping them off and picking them up, but last weekend my boyfriend had to pick them up because I had a work trip. For context, the twins don't know life without my boyfriend. We have been together since I found out I was pregnant, and he was there for all the ultrasounds and birth classes. He sat and read all the books with me and was there for the labor. He loves them like his own, and in my eyes they're as much his kids as mine. He was up all the late nights taking care of not only me but them too. Back to it, he was picking up the kids for me. This is not the first time, and they had called him daddy to get his attention while he was talking to my ex. He said that my ex had seemed to be okay with it and he left to take them home, but while I was at the airport my ex called me screaming, saying how undermining and disrespectful it was that the twins called him daddy and they wouldn't speak at his house, which I had not known about considering that the twins don't stop talking at my house until they fall asleep. But then he started complaining about custody, which was originally his idea because he was working a lot, and saying that it was my fault because my boyfriend is spending more time with them and that he doesn't have enough time to bond with them. He then started on how it was not right that the twins were so comfortable with my boyfriend but his fiancé couldn't hug the twins without bribing them with something. I ended up hanging up on him because my plane was boarding and he was just screaming at me. Later when I got home his fiancé started calling and texting me, which I ignored because she's been known to have a terrible attitude toward me even when I'm just picking up the twins. I talked with my boyfriend to see what we should do about the twins calling him daddy, and he said that it's up to me and he loves it but would understand if I told them to stop. But I don't know, I love that my twins call him dad. I feel like he's earned it, but I don't know if I'm being a dick because my ex is in their life and he is their father. Update: I would like to thank you all for the support and advice that you have sent us. I sat down with my boyfriend and we read through the comments when the twins were napping, and were especially grateful for the comments from people who were and are in a similar situation because it gives some insight on how to handle this all. There are a few things I would like to share now that we are planning on talking about. First, one of the biggest things I saw in the comments was the custody. We don't have a written legal agreement on the matter, but my boyfriend is going to be connecting one of his friends who is married to a family lawyer to see if she can help and draw up an agreement. Secondly, I saw a lot of comments on the mental manipulation that may be happening to the twins. I have been in therapy since I was 12 because of depression and anxiety with a family history of mental illness like bipolar, so therapy has always been a thing that I wanted my kids to be in when I felt would be most beneficial, and I definitely didn't want them to start this young. But the comments on what might be happening at my ex's house, I think me and my boyfriend will start looking at therapists together for the twins. I haven't talked to my ex yet, but I had to block him earlier today because he was repeatedly calling and texting me while at work. I've taken him off of the pickup list at their daycare and I'm going to be texting him tomorrow because I don't feel like them going over there is the best thing for the twins right now, so we're planning on going out of the city to stay with my BF's parents at their house. That's all I have for today, but I will try to keep you guys updated on what's happening. Thank you again for all the love and support. Not the asshole. Your boyfriend is the dad that your twins have known. He's always been there and they have made the choice to call him daddy. I would be concerned about the twins' behavior around your ex and his fiancé. They seem like they don't feel comfortable, and your ex should not be forcing them to hug someone they aren't happy to hug, even if it is his fiancé. Sorry, but the ex needs to put on his big boy pants and realize that he hasn't made the effort and that has affected his relationship with his kids. Don't stop your kids from expressing themselves. If they feel comfortable calling your boyfriend daddy, then let them. Not the asshole. Just because the sperm donor is being an asshole is no reason for you to change the twins' reality of who they see, who they call, and who in reality has been operating as their dad. It's also going to be up to them as they grow older, and if they want to call the other guy dad as they grow up, they can. You've no need to change anything right now. I can think of at least 3 friends and old classmates who grew up with a stepdad and were still in a good relationship with the biological dad, and all of them called both of them dad. Not the asshole. YHE biological father needs to work on his insecurity and jealousy, which is totally understandable, but he can't expect you to forbid your children to call your boyfriend dad. It's actually very healthy for them to see him as their father. If their father and his fiancé can't bond with the twins as much, they should work on understanding why and becoming closer to them. Not the asshole. Dad is a title you earn by your actions in the eyes of your children, not by your blood relation to them. Not the asshole. Your boyfriend has been a constant, loving, and supportive presence in your twins' lives since before they were born. It's natural for them to see him as a father figure and call him dad. While it's understandable that your ex feels upset, especially if he wants a closer bond with the twins, this situation is a result of his choices and limited involvement early on. Your boyfriend earned that role by stepping up, and it's not fair to ask your kids to stop expressing their bond with him to appease your ex's insecurities. Not the asshole, and I'm guessing the only reason he went for his little Saturday visit is because of his fiancé. This is textbook deadbeat behavior, and it's time to gear up for a custody dispute. Am I the asshole for telling my roommate to stop cooking all the time? So I, 22F, live with my roommate Katie, 24F, and we've been roommates for like a year. Things were fine at first, but now I'm losing my mind because she's obsessed with cooking. At first it was kinda cool because she would make these fancy meals and sometimes offer me some, but now she's like doing it all the time and it's driving me nuts. She cooks literally every day, sometimes twice a day, and it's never simple stuff. It's always these big fancy recipes that use like every pot and pan we own. The kitchen is always a disaster and she doesn't even clean up after herself right away. Like sometimes I'll go to bed and the next morning there's still dirty dishes and random food everywhere. Also, she's started making weird stuff like fish stock and some kind of fermented stuff, and it makes the whole apartment stink. The fridge is also a huge issue. She's completely taken over all the space with her leftovers and jars of sauces and random ingredients. I can barely fit my milk and eggs in there. Last week I came home starving after work and she was making this huge meal and she told me I had to wait like 2 hours to use the stove because she needed it for her process, or whatever. I ended up eating cereal. So I told her she needs to chill and stop hogging the kitchen all the time and at least clean up after herself. She got super mad and said I'm unsupportive of her passion, and I'm being selfish. She was like, I don't complain when you watch TV all the time, so why are you complaining about this? Which makes no sense because her cooking affects me directly. Now she's being all passive-aggressive, like saying, oh, I'll just eat frozen meals from now on since I'm such a problem. And IDK, now I feel kinda bad but also like, I pay rent too and should be able to use my own kitchen. Am I the asshole for saying something? Or should I just let her do her thing because it's her hobby? Like, you need to have a sit-down discussion with her when you are both rested, not drinking and not cooking. You each deserve 50% of everything in the apartment and are each 100% responsible for cleaning up after yourself within a reasonable timeframe. Decide what that is. My opinion would be within 2 hours. Offer to share the kitchen every other day. In other words, no cooking missions on your day. Simple meals that require heating up or leftovers. On her day she can have it as long as she cleans up after herself. And it's not your job to support her passions. It's her parents or spouses. And sometimes in life there are periods where you don't get immediate gratification or attaboys. She needs to learn to deal with that. So, not the asshole. Not the asshole. The problem isn't her cooking, the problem is she's treating the kitchen like she lives alone. You both share a kitchen, so she needs to make sure to leave enough space for you to be able to make your meals and for your own stuff in the fridge. She also needs to clean up after because, again, she doesn't live alone. You may need those pots or utensils. If she's going to continue hogging up all the space, then she needs to make food for you as well and make sure it's available for you to eat before she takes 2 hours on the stove. She also really needs to make things that don't stink up the whole house. She can experiment with stuff like that later, when she lives alone or with a partner who doesn't mind. It's not life or death where she absolutely has to make this stuff right now. Definitely not the asshole. It's your apartment too and you have a right to use the appliances. She also gets to watch the TV too. Maybe you need a roommate agreement where you set out ground rules for cohabitation. Stand your ground. If it's truly her passion, maybe she needs an external outlet for it, like culinary school. Not the asshole. I pay rent too and should be able to use my own kitchen. This is the whole story. She has to clean up after herself and keep free the fridge shelves you agreed upon. Not the asshole. And when she makes a passive-aggressive comment about frozen meals, just tell her, yeah, that would solve all our problems, thanks. Not the asshole, but make sure she knows her cooking all the time is not the actual problem like you said it was in your post title. The problem is her leaving the kitchen a mess and stinking up the house, making extremely fishy things, etc. Tell her those are the things you take issue with, not her cooking or using the kitchen for an extended period, like it sounds like you meant from your initial post. Obviously she has full rights to use your kitchen whenever she wants and make whatever she wants, as long as it doesn't make your place uninhabitable from the smell or constantly leave the kitchen absolute disaster. Am I the asshole for not checking to see if my wife locks the door? I, 34 male, had a brief time a few months ago where my wife, 32 female, found our front door had been left unlocked overnight a couple of times. We were home. She said this made her uncomfortable. Who left it unlocked? Who's to say? Maybe me. I can own up to that. So I started making a strong habit of making sure I always lock the door when I come in the house. Even if I'm going to be going back outside quickly. Problem solved, right? Well, fast forward to now and all of a sudden my wife comes to me and says, "What can we do to make sure you check to see if the door is locked at the end of the night? This is like 3 now that I brought it up. I go to bed before you, so it should be your responsibility." Now, I know she was the last one home yesterday. Neither of us left the house after she got home. So she left the door unlocked last night and is mad at me for not checking behind her. I explained my perspective and the change in habit I had made. But she keeps on with saying since I am usually the last one awake, I should be checking the door, and is now being terse, short with me. I can see logic to both our rationales, but am I being unreasonable to think she's being a touch ridiculous about this? She left the door unlocked, didn't say that she did, and got mad at me for not checking behind her. I don't think you're an asshole, but whoever is up last should do the final check. There's always a chance someone could have stepped outside for some reason after both of you got home from work. You should both make a concerted effort to lock the door when you come in, but if you're the last person up, is it really that hard to take 90 seconds to make sure doors and windows are locked up? I'm assuming you don't live in a mansion where there are numerous entrances to the property. Check the front door, back door, make sure the garage is closed and windows shut. Easy peasy. Get keypad entry with autolock after 1 or 2 minutes feature. You can pick them up at Lowe's or order online. It saved a lot of arguments between me and my spouse with ADHD who forgets to lock the door. It's not a matter of being an AH. I always check all the doors before I go to bed. Just make it part of your daily routine. Whoever's last to bed should make sure the door is locked. No one is the asshole here. But as a woman, I'm really paranoid about it and sometimes, always, like someone else to confirm the door is indeed locked. So maybe she just wants to feel safe and have you confirm she is safe. I don't think you're an asshole, not the asshole. But I'm also the last one to bed in my house, so I made it my responsibility to check the locks on the doors to make sure everything is locked up. It's not a big deal and someone should make that their primary responsibility each night before bed so everyone is safe and sound. Not the asshole, our house is always locked, every time we enter or leave, it's locked. Both parties are responsible. Take care of your own actions. I'm sure there's other circumstances that she doesn't take responsibility. My wife knows when she forgets. She's left and not locked or latched doors. It's unacceptable. Pay attention and protect your assets. We had some druggie show up on our property trying to enter. If it wasn't locked, who knows what could have happened. My cameras caught him swaying and talking nonsense. Her negligence can be costly.